Susan Sarandon,
I want the last thing you say in this world to be a face of love. So you look at me.
Sean Penn,
No more bars, no more cells, no more lock and key!
Governor, please, don't execute this man.
Dead Man Walking.
To Matthew's proving his innocence for not killing the couple, the Delacroix and Percys want justice for their son and daughter. Sister Helen's mission to help Matthew to take responsibility for what happened. The characters acted and do in the film presented complexity and a thing in common on what I'm going to relate in this week's topic. In the film, their behavior is consistent throughout the duration, like how the family's victim disdained toward the suspect by recognizing him as a human in court, or Helen's finding the human side of Matthew in his last moments. The thing they have all in common is called non-homeostatic motivation. Physiological mechanisms that features in homeostatic motivations may contribute to this but not in the same way. We see the family's eagerness to push through the execution and justice that they so want. The motivation there is non-homeostatic because the incident traumatized them and want to get back into a homeostatic state. This can be tied to other studies like arousal theory of motivation. It said arousal can be any number of things or actions, but it also results in a higher or lower motivation. Going back to the film, Sister Helen's being a spiritual advisor to Matthew is an example of a thing that can spike arousal and therefore motivation. Its effect on performance arousal that is too high or too low can negatively impact performance. Her performance is fine given that her first time and the stress she's under and the arousal didn't matter if it's high or low. The other is Victor Vrum's expectancy theory of motivation. If a person's action results in their expected reward, they'll be motivated to take some action again. If, however, their actions don't result in their expected reward, they'll become demotivated. For Matthew, denying he didn't shoot them would get him out of the death penalty, thinking that maybe that will ease his sentence. The theory's position is that your motivation is directly affected by how much you want a reward. Your belief that your effort will lead to an expected level of performance and that your performance will result in the reward that you want.
The film was inspired by Sister Helen Prejean's meeting with the death row inmates. A prisoner, Matthew Poncelet, writes Sister Helen a letter. He is currently on death row, awaiting execution for heinous act he claims he was only a witness to. He extends an invitation to see her to see him. Over the next 3 days, Sister Helen's interviews with Matthew, his family, and the families of the two youths were cruelly assaulted and killed. Helen continues to fight for Matthew's life, despite getting a lot of hate and sorrow for her engagement with him. Sister Helen wishes to be Matt's spiritual counselor. She explains to him that though Jesus paid the price, salvation isn't a free ticket to heaven. You must participate in your own redemption. Dead Man Walking 1995 is a comprehensive and engrossing look into the life and work of a nun who exemplifies the psychological principle of understanding, reconciliation, and compassion with death row inmates and their families. This stunning film portrays the brutality of fatal execution. And presents an alternative based on love. It is also shown that hatred is the most harmful form of confinement. Spiritual life can only be achieved by reacting to all existence and resolving to respond each of its elements completely and honestly. The setting in which behavior occurs may contribute to its persistence in both classical and operant conditioning. To put it another way, once a stimulus has acquired behavioral meaning, it becomes a guide. That is, once a stimulus has acquired behavioral relevance, it might serve as a guide or stimulant for repeating the activity. As a result, the context in which any action occurs is crucial to consider when defining it as a non-homeostatic.
The film Dead Man Walking is a 1995 American crime drama film. In the movie, Matthew was sentenced to death and has been on death row for the murder of a couple. The movie was about how the nun, Sister Helen, helps Matthew to find peace as he moves forward his death penalty. Non-homeostatic behavior usually involve engaging in a certain behavior to an excessive amount. According to the drive theory of motivation, deviation from homeostasis creates physiological needs. These needs result to physiological drive states that direct behavior to meet the need and ultimately bring the system back to homeostasis. Aggression, curiosity and exploration, arousal, sexual behavior, and addiction was described as some of the examples of non-homeostatic motivation. The structure of the limbic system had been implicated in the control of emotional expression. Stimulation of different areas of the brain can trigger affective attack and quiet biting. Hormones have both organizational effects and activational effects with respect to sexual behavior. Organizational effects refers to the role of the hormone in the development of the body. The correct hormonal condition determine whether an individual will develop a male or a female body, as well as a male or female brain. Activational effect refers to the role of the hormone in activating sexual behavior or sexual arousal in adult animals. In most animals, sexual behavior of males and females are directly independent on hormones acting on previously organized brain structures. Sexual behaviors of human is under less hormonal control, although evidences suggest that testosterone may be responsible for sexual motivation in both males and females. Specific neurochemical circuits have been identified as being involved in many of these motivated behaviors.
Is the Dead Man Walking movie. In the movie Dead Man Walking, Sister Helen Prejean has succeeded in exploring the criminal justice system concerning capital punishment. Despite the challenges she has confronted in condemning capital punishment, she still hopes to enlighten people that it is wrong and no human being deserves subjection to such variety of torture. The connection of this to our study is non-homeostatic behavior of curiosity. Sister Prejean is testing her boundaries by expanding her curiosity into what way she can prove and show her belief. Curious to explore more regarding on people's viewpoint on her ideology. She's experienced self-stimulation. Brain stimulation reward are commonly referred to also as an intracranial self-stimulation is a procedure where animals performs a response to electrically stimulate parts of the central nervous system, and where she directly activates brain reward systems bypassing much of the input side of the circuit, thinking more of what she thinks is right and her values, instead of differentiating morality, which means between right and wrong. She doesn't really think of other people's opinions but herself, but she is curious as to what are the ways she can do to expand her belief to other people. She is showing the signs of curiosity, and I can say that she might be also showing the signs of arousal theory wherein she's ready to force this type of belief to other people.
Homostatic motivation can provide some explanation for life-sustaining behavior. The same explanation does not hold for other motivated behavior. These include play, sexual behavior, curiosity, gambling, addiction, and risk-taking. Some of these can be seen as life-threatening rather than life-maintaining. Neural factors, hormonal factors, and physiological mechanisms that features in homostatic motivation may contribute to these other forms of motivation but not in the same way. Just like what happened in the movie, Poncelet and Vitelio was in the influence of alcohol when they killed the young couple. Poncelet and Vitelio also raped the girl before they killed them, and Poncelet was sentenced to death by lethal injection for his crime. But at the same time of his death approach, he retaliated and he repented of his crime committed and accepted the death sentence.